Good morning, mommies, and my favorite mommy, Meredith Lynch, my pal, back in the house. It's June. It's Pride Month. We're in the summer. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at the protests happening outside of the Delaney Detention Hall in New Jersey. ICE is fighting with protesters after a hunger strike. Then Maine Senator candidate Graham Platner is back with a new scandal, a sexting scandal. We're going to talk about whether it matters or not. Then Meredith is very excited about this. Love Island USA is back, and she's going to convince me why I need to watch this season, and I'm convincible. Then we have Dream Guest Alert. Margaret Cho is going to join us to talk about the California elections happening today. She's going to talk to us about Pride. She's going to talk to us about Spencer Pratt. Margaret Cho, Dream Guest, coming in about 20 minutes. But first, let's go to New Jersey. If you have somehow not seen it, a hunger strike by detainees alleging poor conditions in the facility sparked demonstrations outside the Delaney Detention Hall. That happened about a week ago. I believe we're on day 9 now. And those protests have escalated. The videos coming out are like pretty harrowing. It's like ICE agents and New Jersey State Police and local police. There have been dozens of arrests. The city imposed curfews overnight. Senators have gone and tried to get into the detention center in order to inspect what's happening there and gotten pepper sprayed. Senator Andy Kim. According to the detainees, what's happening in there is the food is spoiled. There's insufficient medical care. They don't have basic supplies. There's delays in immigration proceedings. On the other hand, DHS says this is bullshit. Delaney is the best place on earth. You might as well be in, boarding school. Border Czar Tom Homan visited over the weekend. They magically did let him in, and he said he ate the food and it was fine. So Meredith, you are actually in DC right now, for the people who don't know, close to the action. You're the one who thought we should talk about this story, and I agreed. Tell me your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I've long talked about the conditions at prisons because of the private equity pieces that come in to do the food service and oftentimes the medical care. So what a lot of people don't realize is like most of that stuff is outsourced. So like Core Civic might be running some elements or might be the sort of overseer, and not every prison is a private prison, right? But almost every prison has contractors that come in and do like the food service and the whatever and blah, blah, blah. And I think one of the things that I keep thinking about is that this is the same problem that we see at some of, and I don't mean to say, but like this is the same problem that we see at like what I would consider to be nicer correctional facilities. So like there are places that I think like hands down, even somebody who works in these places would go, oh yeah, that place, in Danbury, Connecticut, is a nicer facility than Delaney Hall, right?
Right.
And because Delaney Hall has like people just coming through it, it's like a ringer. I mean, a lot of people don't end up staying. A lot of people do get released, and that's like a good thing. But that also means that they're not being given all the things that you would need to kind of like take care of yourself. We know they don't get toothbrushes, right? So long story short, the fact that the food is spoiled and they're not getting proper medical care is things that we see happening in all the correctional facilities. So it's like of no surprise to me that this would be happening on an even larger scale at a place like Delaney, where it's even more disorganized, where it's even harder for people to advocate for their rights because they'll be like, oh, well, they're not, American citizens or whatever. Right. So I'm just like, yeah, no shit, it's bad. And also too, all the stuff that we've been talking about with Dilly, like these are the similar problems we've been seeing at Dilly. And so I'm really glad it's getting the attention. But I also think like when people say like, oh my God, I can't believe, it's like, yeah, I can.
Right. This is exactly what you would expect is happening there. I know the fact that it has escalated to a hunger strike. When I hear people talk about like, it's not that bad. I'm like, people don't go on hunger strikes because they don't get food that they don't like. They go on hunger strikes because that's all that they can do. Like it does feel to me like it's escalated to a point where they have to do something. It's also sort of the first time we've seen these visible clashes with ICE since January in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like to see it back in the news in this way, I think is a good thing as much as, like it's such a hard, like at least it's visible in a way that it usually is sort of under the surface all the time.
Yeah, I think that I just read that there's like 60,000 people currently detained by ICE. And
Wow.
so I know it's a huge number. And so, if you think that the people in Delaney Hall are the only people who are living like that, think again. So I think it's also good that it's going to bring more attention. I think don't get me wrong, I have all issues with it, but one of the good things about Delaney Hall is that it's not in the complete middle of nowhere, right?
Yes,
So
I had
like,
that thought too.
yeah, in California, we have
Mm.
several not correctional, well, we have several correctional facilities, but we have several ICE detention facilities, but most of them are nowhere near like where, there's huge amounts of people. So I
Yep.
think it's really good that we have so much, so many eyes on this one, and it's so easy for people to get to.
I had that thought too. I was like, I saw Jolly Green Ginger. Do you know
Jolly
that?
Good Ginger, he's
Jolly Good
here.
Ginger.
Oh,
But before that, I saw him at the protest there, and I'm like, yeah, you can fly in. There's literally an airport in Newark. You go right over there. I think, yeah, it gets people visibly there. Don Lemon not going, I think probably has not learned his lesson, but is probably more cautious about going to protests at the moment.
totally.
Yeah, I also, I was just scrolling, and I live in an area of LA where we have like a local LA Instagram post that like does, like here's what's opening, and a local go-go dancer was taken by ICE during a green card interview, and they don't know where he is. And it's just sort of like, I hear people talk about what's happening at Delaney and Dilly, and they're like, these are criminals and they should have come here legally and this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's entirely possible that some of those people, intentionally came here illegally or whatever. But it's also like, we can see it, that there's people who have gone through the process exactly as you're supposed to go through the process and still end up in these horrific detention centers.
Well, the majority of people get arrested at their hearings.
At their
So they
hearings,
show up to their hearing, which is like what they're meant to do. And so I think that's probably my biggest moment of when people go like, well, they should have done it the right way. And I'm like, oh, well, here's the deal. They are doing it the right way. Or they get picked up and it's like, oh yeah, well, like they went to their hearing last month and they checked in and now they've been picked up at, the bus stop with their kid. Like, so I just think that it's really like, I think that the other thing too is that the people who, and I don't even want to know if I want to call them Republicans, but like the people who are sort of villainizing these folks, because first of all, it's not just Republicans.
No.
And it's not all Republicans. So, but the people who are saying this, I think, are slowly losing momentum in their talking points.
Yesterday I listened to a podcast called Chicks on the Right.
Yeah, you were telling me. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chicks on the Right, for those of you who don't listen, they're sort of like the I've Had It podcast, but on the right. It's like two middle-aged women in the middle of the country, being snarky about things happening in the news. And I was just curious about what they were talking about. And they're obviously very Republican MAGA. And they were saying terrible things about these immigrants, like they still had smoke. They were like, these are, I don't want to use the word on, like these are the worst of the worst. And I'm like, there's got to be something in between here where we look at these people as people,
Yeah, I think that I was thinking about this yesterday because I went to, I'm here in DC for this conference, and I went to a talk on affordability and how, like, basically everyday life has gotten really expensive, and it's because of things like the tariffs. It's because of, the war in Iran. And one of the things that I think Trump does a really good job at is when we think about like what is our most basic need for our family, it's like actually before money is just safety. Like, are we safe? Can we walk down the street without being hurt? Right? Like that actually comes in a way before money. Yes, money can like keep you safer. But I was like, all of these things that he says, these are the reasons that things are not as affordable, or like you can't get a job because of immigrants. You can't get affordable gas because of the war in Iran. He's like, it's all to keep you safe. Like, so you're just paying a little bit more money so you can have safety. The tariffs are here so we don't get as many drugs coming into the country. That's to keep you and your children safe. And so I think when you're able to buy into the safety narrative, which is like probably something these women have bought into, I think it's really easy to like just start othering people really quickly because you're like,
100%.
I'm physically, I am not safe. And that's like
100%.
same thing with the trans issue, like, which like shouldn't even be an issue, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
yes. Are you safe?
I
And
also think
that's interesting.
it's really interesting. I also think it's part of why we have gotten into a pattern, I think also throughout history, of electing strong men, of being like, you look at Trump versus Biden in the last election and you were like, yeah, that guy seems like a bigger protector of me, the little guy, than, Joe Biden who's shuffling around. Like it is just like an animal instinct. I don't think it's the correct instinct. Personally, I don't think it's like what actually keeps us safe, but I do think that's part of why we elect these types of like blustering manly men, is like this fear, and we think they are going to be the ones to save us.
Someone said in the chat, girl, I can't take care of my family if gas is too high. And it's like, yeah, but the point is they're like, maybe you're better off living in a bunker. Like that's, you know what I mean? They're like, as long as you're still alive.
Right.
Like they don't want you to be like, gas is too high to like go to the grocery store. At least you're alive. Like that's
they're not looking for thriving right now.
No, absolutely not. They're like, homeschool your kids so you don't have to pay for gas. That's safer.
Yeah. Yowza. By the way, if you guys are here, like, please, we will throw your questions up on screen. If you're in the YouTube, if you have questions for Margaret Cho, if you have comments for us, please join us over on YouTube and we'll throw your questions up on the screen. Let's move over to another man causing some trouble right now. So new sexting scandal just dropped. Over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal reported that Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner had been sending explicit text messages to at least 12 women at the beginning of his marriage back in 2023 on an app called Kik. Do we have a picture of that? It's like ick. And then his wife, Amy Gertner, who, by the way, is the person who came forward. She told the campaign about this when they were looking for opposition research to try and get ahead of it. She put out a video defending him, like a very like talk to camera. I think we have just like a quick clip of that.
Wanted to make sure that everyone knows that Graham and I have a great marriage. Being married is hard. Being newly married is hard. Being newly married and going through infertility is hard. Being newly married, going through infertility, and a Senate campaign is hard. I don't even know if I have the right words to describe what we've been going through, but our marriage counselor helps.
So the way that they're sort of framing this is like, this is a personal issue. And then Graham Platner sort of came out and was like, the media shouldn't be covering this, blah, 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 blah. So he's kicked around a few scandals now. He had the Reddit posts about women, about people of color. He had a Nazi-affiliated tattoo that he said he didn't know was Nazi-affiliated. He got it covered up. And so it's just sort of like this trickle. I'm curious, you think Nothing Burger, like he's the nominee, he's gonna, what do you think?
I mean, I think, first of all, wasn't surprised. At the same time, I think we have to have sort of like levels to how we look at this. Like there's a big difference between this and Eric Swalwell.
Yeah.
And that's just the point, right?
Yep.
So here has been my continued concern with Graham Platner is like, there's something very Fetterman about him. And like, I know that Fetterman doesn't have like these allegations as far as I know, like of any type of whatever, but like there do just keep sort of seeming to be these things that keep coming out about him. And that's sort of what happened with Fetterman. I remember Fetterman had like, he had confronted a Black man on his property and it had gotten like violent and, and we kind of like, we're like, oh, okay, well, it's not Dr. Oz. So I think, and there's plenty of people I would say, you know, who are really like sort of stars of the Democratic Party right now, who are men, who are of like the same-ish age bracket, whether it be James Tallarico, Zoran Mamdani, who like, we're not finding these scandals
That's
behind
true.
them.
Right. We
So
don't have to find them everywhere. That's so true. Yeah. Mamdani, we're like, I
yeah.
think he loves his wife. Whatever.
Yeah. James Tallarico seems like, you know, I mean, there's always things you can criticize someone for, but like
Sure.
these seem a little more concerning and they seem more like sort of personality flaws as opposed to
Yeah.
like, you know, maybe a bad internet take or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think, listen, it would be great for Maine to have a better representation, and this is where we're at. And, you know, he's not being accused of SA. He's not being accused of, you know, connecting with staffers, right? Like, I mean, also too, like, okay, so like he there are some marriages where this is like totally fine.
Totally.
And that's the other thing. And I also think the fact that the wife flagged it and was like, hey, just FYI, this happened in the beginning of our marriage. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not going to get upset about it. There's other things, like I'm more bothered by other things he's done and said.
And then we can move on. Here's the thing that bothers me about, and I'm not a Maine voter, but I listened to Lulu Garcia Navarro at the New York Times interview him a couple weeks, and it was a really great interview. And I thought it was like really sweeping, and I thought she was like fair and push and prod. And at a certain point, she says, "Is this it? Is anything else going to come out? Anything?" And she like, and he was like, "Nope. This is it," and this was before the text message came out. This was just about the Reddit and the Nazi tattoo. And she was like, "Are you sure?" Right. And he was like emphatically like, "Nope, this is as much." And then not 2 weeks later, there's a new scandal that, like, again, I agree it's a marriage issue, but it does say something about, I don't know, it just leaves a bad taste in mouth. So that's what I say is like, he has a trust issue with me, but I'm not a Maine voter. Let's talk about the others. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like it's sort of connected what we're going to talk about next, because I want to talk about Love Island for a minute, because I am a Love Island fan.
I know you are.
It's funny because I don't watch any reality anymore, like no reality TV whatsoever. Last summer, I started watching Love Island. I think it saved my marriage. You know what? You don't have to sext with someone you met on Kiki.
I think Kick. I think it's Kick. Yeah.
Kick. Okay. Someone you met on Kick. You can watch Love Island. Honestly, I will totally say this. Mike and I were going through a lot last summer.
I remember.
And we were working really hard. I wouldn't say like just to, and then we found Love Island, and every single night we would get so fired up to watch Love Island together. And it really did, like, it was a real spot of joy in our marriage. And
I believe it.
Right. So anyway.
I knew a lot of people who said, like, everybody loved Love Island last year. I didn't watch it, but I knew a lot of people that were like, because doesn't it drop like daily, episodically?
So it's on almost every single night. It's on every night but Wednesdays.
Okay.
And they're about 90 minutes. So it's kind of like the perfect amount of TV that I even like want to watch to unwind.
Totally. Yep.
I love Ariana Madix, who's the host. I love the fact that like it's a diverse cast, not diverse enough in like bodies. They do have a disabled person this year. But there is something really cool to see, like when you're like, oh, monolith culture is still a thing that we crave. And that's what really got fun for me about it. But anyway, the other thing that I find really interesting about it that I feel like is connected to Graham Platner is that we've already sent someone home. And we have sent home one of the first Islanders. Her name is Yulissa Escobar, and she has been sent home because it came out there were 2 incidences of her on social media saying a really bad word that she has no right to be saying. So anyway, the thing that I find really interesting about Love Island is when they find something like that, you're gone. Like there is no debating. They find out. And I mean, there's been people who didn't say that word who have gone for other tweets and stuff that I think a lot of shows, and I'm not saying like, oh, but like the bar is a little higher with Love Island. And I don't know if that's because Ariana Madix hosts it, who's kind of a woke queen. Vanessa. Oh, really? Oh my God, you guys. I'm so sorry. I have the wrong, somebody posted the wrong name. Thank you for correcting me. Listen, you guys, I haven't met the Islanders yet. They're already getting kicked off. So Anyway, long story short, they've already been sent home. But this is like to your point about Graham Platner. I was thinking about this and I'm like, I think, you know, this woman, they were probably like, do you have anything in your past that could come back to like haunt you?
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe you say a couple things, but you obviously she didn't think of this. And I don't think it's because she was hiding it. I think it's because she literally did not remember. Like,
Yeah.
I think people like this, people who say that word so casually,
Yeah.
they don't realize
Yep.
that they, you know what I mean? And I think with him, I'm not saying that he didn't think of it, but I think he was kind of like, it probably won't come out. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't think he, until he started running for Senate, I don't think he for a second thought about what he looked like as a public person. I think I don't know, I believe him with the Nazi tattoo. That he was like, I don't know, maybe. And like, I'm a Jew. Like, I'm pretty critical of people. You know, I think he didn't know. And I think the Reddit post, he was like, maybe there's something, but who's going to go find that one thing that I said on Reddit and and then all of a sudden it's all out there and, you know. So it goes.
Well, we'll have to get the perspective of our fabulous guest. I can't believe this is our guest today. I've been like bragging all day here at Trending Up about who we have with us today. We have with us today the Margaret Cho. She is a comedian. She's an actor. She's a musician. She's an advocate. One of Rolling Stone magazine's 50 best stand-up comics of all time. One of Vogue magazine's top 9 female comedians. If Anna Wintour thinks you're funny, I feel like you've really fucking arrived.
Period.
Okay.
Period.
And CNN's 50 people who changed American comedy. I'm so excited because I just found out that her parents owned a bookstore. How did I never know that?
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. My God, Meredith, your skin is so luminous. I need a moment. It's just, it is very, you're giving like moon glow.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
So good.
I have to admit, it's the Lady Gaga Foundation.
No, it's not. Really? House Labs brought this? It's from the house?
The house.
Wow.
It's from the house.
The house. I'm so late on Lady Gaga makeup. Like for me, it's still the Amazon brand. They have a rebrand.
I know.
It's
they did.
a rebrand. So
they rebranded. Yeah.
Anyway, you look
Thank you. Well, you look amazing and it's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
We're so excited you're here. It's kind of a big day in LA.
It is a big day. But you know what? I live, this is crushing to some people. They found out in this election, they live in an unincorporated LA. Some of us are unincorporated. I am unincorporated and we live in LA, so we can vote on quite a few things, but we can't vote for mayor.
Yeah. LA's weird like that.
It's weird how you think you've been living in LA all this time and really you're not.
Yep.
You are not. Not you, Burbank. I'm looking at you, Glendale. Not you. Not you. And so I, unfortunately, if I did vote, I would have voted for Nithya Raman. But unfortunately, I was unable to. But I did endorse her nonetheless, regardless of whether I'm incorporated or unincorporated. I can't imagine why anybody would want to vote for Spencer Pratt. Like, what is this weird thing? It's like, we need common sense. He's got good ideas. That's so Trump 2016.
Right.
It's very Trump 2016.
Do you have friends voting for Spencer?
I don't think so. I hope not. I mean, I think maybe friends is a kind of a loose term. People I've worked with.
Sure.
Before, who I know, who are in my phone.
Right.
Who we can call right now. No, I'm just kidding.
We can call right now. Let's give Joe Rogan a call. He doesn't even live in California. He has no right to endorse. Anybody who Joe Rogan endorses is sus anyway. But
you've been friends with Joe for years, though.
I've been friends with Joe for coming on 30 something, more than 30 years. I mean, wow. But that doesn't mean I have any influence on anything he does. And I just don't know why he would endorse Spencer. Yes.
Do you text him every once in a while and be like, hey, Joe, can you like lay off Spencer for a minute? Like, do you ever text him and be like, what are you doing over here?
No, I don't have his, they've all my really famous friends who are now MAGA. I don't know their numbers anymore. I think they've really, you know, they know they should be unreachable. They realize they don't want access. They don't want us to have access to them anymore, I think.
Wow, that's interesting. As a comedian who's been around you've been in this industry for a long time, so long that people like the president and the LA mayoral candidate were just reality TV stars. What do you think, like, what's going on as an entertainer who's seen this switch of like people that were like entertainment TV villains that are suddenly running the country? Like, when did that change and how did it transfer over?
I think it's just another branding opportunity. It's another vein of show business. It's another way for people to gain followers, fans, notoriety, when they've kind of outlived their particular genre of entertainment and they need to go into another genre of entertainment. It's sort of like what Reagan did.
Right.
When Reagan realized that he could not really go any further as a movie star because he was never really that big of a movie star. He was, a viable star and a famous guy, but at the same time, he wasn't like Cary Grant. He was never going to be somebody that, like Clark Gable. He was never going to be that kind of legendary movie star. So it was a kind of like a switcheroo, a brand switcheroo. And another way to achieve that kind of dream of success without pivoting too much out of public life. And I think that's really what Trump did, and certainly what a lot of people in MAGA, what they do is when they sort of reach the end of their tether in terms of show business, like to shift to MAGA because they can be sort of embraced. They've hunger for celebrity so much. So you see people with their arms wide open for a Gwen Stefani. Or Amber Rose is a perfect example. Amber Rose was organizing the Slut Walk, and very progressive politically. You think about what that is. We're going to arrange sex workers and come together and talk about feminism. To now being in what the Forgiato videos. Like it's just it's very strange. Forgiato, again, another rapper who would never achieved any kind of greatness in rap, can be something in MAGA rap.
What do you think MAGA gets right? Like the movement itself?
I think it's about the idea of marketing common sense. Like, because then they've sort of think that common sense is a kind of a way to gain sort of older people who feel like they don't understand a lot of stuff. And so like, we're the party of common sense. We just want, the simplification, that they simplify things to the point that it's kind of genius, where they say, we just want to keep boys out of girls' sports. We want to keep men out of women's locker rooms. The simplification of that is a kind of genius that goes right to the heart of stupid people. And unfortunately, a lot of people are really stupid. And so they just don't have the critical thinking to understand that when you do that, it leads to genocide. They don't realize that this idea of common sense and let's keep boys out of girls' sports is really killing trans people. They don't understand that. They don't have the critical thinking skills. So that's what, unfortunately, MAGA gets right, in the simplification of these ideas to the point where death is meaningless.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating. You're on tour right now with a new show called Choligarchy. It's the only oligarchy that we accept in this household.
Thank you.
I want to ask you about that too, but I wanted to talk about, because something else happening in California today is the governor's race. And we're dealing with our own conversations here because we have now the progressive candidate who has like the most progressive stance is also a billionaire who's made his money in private prisons. And so I wonder, as we see a billionaire move, like sort of like take the progressive space, as somebody who's like out there criticizing the oligarchy, like, how are you? I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this whole governor race.
It's really hard because it's like, we're gonna pick the billionaire we like the most popular billionaire, and then like, why are we allowing that? But it's like there's so few choices. Like, what else are we going to do? And it's hard, and it's like, sort of like, how do we find a way out of, like, I don't want to play purity politics. It's really what got us into this mess. where we are with the Trump administration. He has no business being president, and we would not be there without the idea of purity politics and the way that people want to have that one leader that's going to have everything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when we want for everything, we end up with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. So we have to like learn how to compromise and sort of look to what can we do. I do think Tom is great. I do think that there's a lot of things that he likes, but I also like Javier. Like it's like very like,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, I voted for Javier, but it was a tough decision because I think also what Tom's remarks on trans, athletes, teen trans athletes, it spoke to me. It's what I've wanted to hear from a gubernatorial candidate that I haven't heard. I haven't heard from Gavin Newsom,
Yeah.
So Gavin is my friend. Gavin is like legitimately my friend, like for a long, probably about as long as Joe Rogan, So
Wow, interesting.
like we're from San Francisco, it's like very,
Right.
It's tight, so it's like something that like, I haven't heard from Gavin. I haven't heard that kind of support for trans kids as I've heard from Tom. So it's like a very, I'm saying everybody's first name like I know everyone, but I do know Gavin.
But you
So-
do.
You do.
I do know everyone, but I feel like it is, I do think like, Tom is somebody we'll see. This is just the primary, so we'll see what happens when we get to November.
That's right.
But I like him. He's a billionaire. That's something that we have to deal with.
Okay, so I'm at this creator conference, and I won't name names, but somebody just told me that they went to like a dinner with Tom, like an intimate type creator dinner with Tom, and they were like, "Hey, like, you are a billionaire, and like this is a person who does a lot of anti-billionaire content," and he was like, "Yes, but I'm actually one of the poorest billionaires." I was like, "Dude, that is not the talking point."
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, I don't know that that's the move, but I was just thinking about it. Do you guys feel like, I know he's not perfect, even though I am totally into him, but like, do you think Obama like fucked us for the next like 30 years? Because we did have a president who like he checked a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Like, are we fucked because Obama was so good? Did we peak too early?
Did we peak too early?
I hope not. I certainly hope not. I love Obama. I still wish, that we could have him back, and especially now with all like Trump floating all of that third term 2028 nonsense, maybe we'll have an opportunity to have him back. That would be a great comeback, if anything. But like, I just, I also think there's room to improve. There's also, we could also continue to look forward and say Obama was amazing and we were able to achieve that, so maybe we could have even more than that. It's possible.
And Obama, I feel like, as a president, he was one thing, and as a campaigner, he just like tapped into our veins, right? Like we were like, this is like millennial core. This is like who our and I think somebody else has the opportunity to figure out what that vein is. Trump did it. You know what I mean? Like it's, and in some ways, I mean, like, I hate to admit it, but like Spencer Pratt figured out what in LA was the vein that people, like, I think some of it is about like how you campaign, and we just haven't seen anybody on the left do that well in a long time.
I mean, it's like, it's kind of campaigning with half-baked, not real ideas, but going out there kind of, in this sort of a showbiz fashion. It's also, California is so shallow sometimes. It really is just about name recognition.
100%.
Because there's so many people on the ballot. You're like, I don't know, I'll just go with the one that's most familiar. I was like, well, before, when I was really informed about politics, I would just go for the least white name.
Honestly, good bet. Good bet.
I would find the most consonants in the name and just check that. Like, because it was just, to me, it was so overwhelming because so many people were running. So a lot of times it is just name recognition. That's a lot of the reason why sometimes these celebrities run. That is like a name recognition thing, and that also kind of gets them in the door. So it's hard to know, but yeah, it is so crazy.
It's so crazy.
I mean, how much of this, though, do you think is just the fact that David Foster and Catherine McPhee just don't want to admit that they don't want to vote for a woman, especially a woman of color? Like, how much of this is that?
It's so gross. I mean, it's just, that I like a lot of the Foster's songs, but that not a lot of his fundraisers are not my favorite. Yeah, it's depressing, but it's really sad. It's really, really sad.
I saw Larry David's wife had a fundraiser for Spencer Pratt, and I was like, Larry, you really, like, come on. You know, I guess there's
whether it's on screen or off. All the wives are always bad, whether it's Cheryl Hines or Israel.
Yes. Yeah. Who were these? That's right. That's so true.
Fucking Cheryl.
Something that came up as we were like prepping for this conversation with you. You turned down a role in Heated Rivalry. Is that right?
This is the worst decision I've ever made, but it's because of Trump. So this was like really the scariest time, because this was when a lot of stuff were, ISIS just started to kidnap people off the streets, for writing about Palestine, and so, people were like being detained, and, they were like, what's going on? And I've been so vocal about this administration, and I hate it. And so, this was last year, and I got an offer to do a show, and this was before anybody knew what it was also.
Right.
But I'm a fan of Letterkenny. This is Jacob Tierney's other show.
Mm-hmm.
So he reached out to me to be in Heated Rivalry, and I loved the script. And I was like, I'd really think about it, because it required going to Toronto to film. And I just was weighing out my options of like thinking about how likely it would be that I would be detained. Also, I have some generational trauma around this, because in the 1960s, my father was deported, and I was separated from my mother for 3 years, from the age of 3 to 6. So, when something like that happens to you as a child, you really get a sense of like a healthy fear of homeland security, a healthy fear of what, immigration can do to you. So I don't think that's ever left me. So there's a lot of sort of reasons why what happened. But then, of course, several months later, the show is a massive success. And I've hosted a lot of Heated Rivalry watching parties. I'm a big fan of it. I've begged Jacob to like let me come back for season 2. So hopefully we'll see. Because I told him to move. I'll just straight up defect and be Canadian to be on that show.
Honestly, not a bad move.
That's totally fine with me.
Healthcare.
Yeah, I blame Trump. Another thing we have lost to the Trump administration is me being on Heated Rivalry.
Yeah, honestly, that is a freaking loss.
It's a loss. I should have been Una Hollander. Although the woman Christine did a beautiful job, and she's perfect as his mother. So I, of course, no complaints. And the show is perfect the way it is. But I would have loved to be a part of it.
You know what you were so good in, and I saw it not that long ago, was Queens of the Dead.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, like
I
that.
love that movie.
Yeah, it's just such a badass different. And that's another one that I'm like, oh, if Trump knew about Queens of the Dead.
Right? I mean, a gay zombie film is really what we need. And I just love it. I love the movie. It was a great film to make. And was a really special thing. The cast is incredible. And it's just a wonderful, like, gay who's who. Everybody's in it. It's fabulous.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's a good one. Okay, so tomorrow the sun will rise again, as Obama said the day after Trump was elected in 2016. Tomorrow the sun will rise again. And if we are in a primary that is Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt, what would be your wish for these next few months?
I really hope Karen Bass wins. I hope I will put everything that I have behind her. I think that she was a great mayor, and to blame her for what happened with the LA fires. And that's kind of what this election is really about. It's the LA fires and the response. Yeah. And Spencer was able to get so much sympathy because his house burned down, and that's a real tragedy. And that's something that a lot of Angelenos were dealing with. I almost lost my house as well. A lot of unincorporated LA got burned, so we know the pain of that. And so it's like a very scary thing. But I thought Karen Bass handled it as well as anybody could handle a natural disaster. People are blaming her because they want to blame a woman of color. They want to blame a woman of color for everything. I mean, it's not her fault that there were things that did not go right. It's an act of God. It just happened. And so, but people want to put their pain somewhere. But but their solution and their hope in Spencer is wrong.
I know. My one fear is that I also voted for Nithya Raman, and my one fear is that if it's Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt, that people are gonna like just be like, "Yeah, I'm just not gonna do it," or "I'm just gonna," you know what I mean? And so I'm like, you guys, you still gotta vote. You still gotta show up and show out. Margaret Cho, you are touring this great country. Like you are booked, and I actually might go home. My family lives near Provincetown, so I might go to this Provincetown show.
Oh, that was last year.
Oh, damn it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. This tour has been going on for a while.
So, I love that for you though. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah.
Just show up in Provincetown. They'll let you
president, you know?
I just I wanna like get you backstage so you could tell me all your skincare secrets.
Watch out. Some of it's just my tears.
You're beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you very soon, we hope.
Thank you so much. Bye, Margaret.
I love Margaret. Did you know that's my middle name?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm Meredith Margaret.
Wow, we're learning. That's a great name. We're learning great things.
If I could go back in time and do my internet career again, I probably would have not gone by Meredith.
Oh, you would have gone
I would have gone by my middle name or something.
Interesting.
Just to give myself a little space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. My middle name is Rose, also alliteration. And if I could go back in time to the beginning of my career, I would have made my name Rebecca Rose because nobody can ever pronounce my name and it freaks people out and it makes me like unmarketable, like ethnic problems. But I would also go by Rebecca Rose because then it would be pithier.
You know what, though? That's like actually really good advice to all our little Gen Z babies. If you're like if you're like building your career right now and you're like, I don't know, like maybe I don't want like my name that then people can figure out also like who my dad is.
Yeah,
that's the other thing that also feels kind of weird. Like I'm like, oh, I should have gone by like my mother's maiden name or something.
Totally.
But anyway, it is what it is. What a fun guest. Can you believe her family owned a bookstore?
I actually knew that because but I produced a show that she was interviewed on previously. And so I did a lot of research on her in the background. She's a fascinating person. I didn't remember that her father was deported though.
Yes, I was reading all about that this morning. So I did know that, but I just feel like, you know what, like Margaret Cho's talking about how, and this is actually like, I'm not saying I feel for them, but I do think it's really hard. Like for someone like Spencer, you start as a reality TV star and then eventually that kind of fades, right? Because he was a reality star for being like the fact that he was 23 years old and dating, right? Yeah. Like, okay, so then what do you do? Okay, then you start a celebrity brand. He does crystals. Okay, that fails. Okay, now what do you do? Like take the anger that you have about your house burning down and then turn it into a political career. It's like there really isn't good career trajectory. So here's my thought. What if more of these people just started bookstores?
I love it. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I will say that's my thing about Tom Steyer too, a little bit, where I'm like, you have so much money. You have every opportunity to do public good without first running for president, flaming out, and then running for governor, right? Like there's so many things that you could do with your career that would actually be helpful for people that isn't, egoic in this way.
How old is he?
Tom Steyer?
Yeah.
I would guess in his late 60s, early 70s. I don't know.
68. Okay, 68. That's spry.
That's in this economy? In this economy?
No, that's the one thing about that you got to give Congress in like credit. Because I'm like, okay, so is he going to do this? And then he's going to try to go for, the White House again?
Yeah.
Like, it's very possible. I realize that's
for sure.
Congress, but like, he's young enough that he could still slide in there.
Already made it clear that he would like to be president, the
one thing that no one talks about with Tom Steyer?
Tell me.
He has the same voice as RFK Jr.
Totally.
You guys make fun of RFK Jr.'s voice, and then he's like, "I'm Tom Steyer." Like, I'm like, that's not even it, but it's like it is. It's not
good though.
Thank you. It's not exactly the same. Okay, it's also so ironic. I am wearing this. Is
I know. I wasn't gonna point it out.
Dude, I didn't. I bought it before all of this. I bought this a long time ago. I bought it because my sisters and I were all going away, so I thought it'd be fun to have matching shirts.
Favorite daughter. So I think that's a good point also with Tom Steyer. Not to rag on him. Like this is not you know, but I do think there are things around his campaign, like being a billionaire, like, you know, like there's so many things that people went after Trump and RFK Jr. and all these people and were like, it's a, you know, like the same people that, you know, on the right were like, well, Trump won't be able to be bought because he has so much money, are now saying that about Tom Steyer. And I'm like, we need to be consistent. Either very, very wealthy people don't belong in public service, or they do. And you don't get to pick and choose that based on what they say. And like, you know, I date men and I've learned like you have to believe what they do and not what they say, you know? And I feel like Tom Steyer is like one of those people where I'm like, I don't know, like you can say all the right things and still be the person, you know?
I would have voted for if Javier Becerra, like I voted for Becerra. I don't care telling people who I voted. It's too late now.
Well, I think now is a good time because it's over. It's like, I'm not trying to influence anyone.
Right. Yeah, totally. But like, I would have voted for Tom Steyer if like Javier Becerra wasn't on the, like, I mean, like, you know, if that was, if it came down to Tom Steyer and Steve Hilton, like 1,000%,
Sure.
like I will, but I will also say, like, when we talk about billionaires, I do enjoy JB Pritzker more than Tom Steyer. Like, no, and I'm not, I don't know that I really condone billionaires being in this world. I also think there's a way where you can stay just below being a billionaire. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could just give away enough that you're not technically a billionaire. And then you're just like,
also, I mean, Tom Steyer. So this election, this gubernatorial election is the most expensive election in US history, the most expensive, at least governor election. And it's because Tom Steyer put nobody has ever spent more money on ads than Tom Steyer. This is a fact. And it's like, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. Like whether or not he's a good billionaire or a bad billionaire, like being able to have that amount of personal wealth to inject into a public election inherently keeps out other people. Like it's a problem, you know? And I just think, yeah, I agree. It's like on paper, he's much closer aligned to my values, but in reality, I'm like, I don't know, watch what he does and not what he says. And what he does is put more money into ads and creators, by the way, than any candidate in history. And so that's why I don't think billionaires should be in public service. What's having a moment for you?
You know, I would say what's having a moment for me is just being here in our nation's capital, you know?
How is it? Wait, say more.
You know, it's a little less, I would actually say it's felt, and I haven't been around as much, but it feels a little less dystopian as when I was here in the winter when there was like a very heavy National Guard presence.
Yeah, that's right.
So I definitely think there's less of that, which, you know, is good, but it doesn't mean that things aren't still happening. So yeah, I'm just like, the weather is like much nicer here than it is in LA right now, which people would probably, if you've never spent a lot of time in LA, you'd probably be shocked to find that out. But like spring in DC is gorgeous.
The cherry blossom
in LA is like, is actually kind of like our most mid-season because it's like
it's great.
Winter, like, you know, December, you're like, oh, it's like Christmas time, but it's like also nice out. And like, so it kind of feels fun. But here it's, you know, it just feels really nice. So
that's something like spring is such like a good, like when you can feel a place that has seasons and you're like, there's like a joy here. There's baby. I remember when we were there last year, we saw like a bunch of baby ducks.
Yes. The baby ducks were so cute.
They were so cute.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been nice to like be in true spring weather.
Have you gone to see the White House yet?
No, I just haven't had time. I'm like, this thing about this conference is like, you know, we went to it last year. It's so busy. And so then last night I was like, oh, maybe I'll try to like take an Uber over there. And then I was like, it's getting kind of dark. Yeah. And it's like the opposite. Also too, like things aren't that close here.
Yeah. I mean, it's a walkable city, but like
it's walkable, but like I was going over by the Capitol. Oh no, not the Capitol. I forget where I was going. One of the anyway. Yeah. And then I was like, I'd have to go like it would be like a good 2.5 mile Uber ride to get all the way over there. And so I was just whatever. What's having a moment for you?
I'm obsessed with Widow's Bay.
I know.
I'm trying to get you to watch it. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. No. I'll watch it with Mike because I feel like it's like I want to watch it at home.
I feel like you would like it because like here's been sort of my trajectory with it as I started watching it and I was like, ooh, they got like spooky New England, you know, just right. Like they got the atmosphere right away. Cause you and I have spent time in these like New England old school towns and there's just like such a specific feel to it that they got right. And I was like, ooh, spooky cozy. This is fun. And then it started being like really dry hilarious. Like it's sort of a workplace comedy at the same time with these like weird characters that interact. And I was like, oh, this is hilarious. And then they started putting in like lore and puzzles, like it started to become like one of those Severance type shows where you're like, ooh, I have to see this tiny thing in the background. And then it sort of like amounted to like, these are all of my favorite things. It's atmospheric, it's New England, it's funny, it's great actors, and you're like, ooh, I'm following this along. And so I cannot get enough Widow's Bay. I just think it is like the new fun show. And it's starting to be, because those, like, part of what I love about those puzzle lore shows is the same as Love Island, where everybody's watching it at the same time and you can be like, ooh, that's your theory, that's my theory, that's what. And there's something lovely about that fandom, and the way Widow's Bay is starting to drop, you can start to feel people doing that. And so 10 out of 10, recommend Widow's Bay. I need the mommies to go watch it so we can talk about it together.
Okay. I will probably work on starting to watch it when I get home.
Yeah.
In the next couple of days, and then we can kiki on it, or kick on it.
We can kick on
Keek
it.
on it. Kick.
Yeah. Good luck, Graham Platner.
Honestly, like at the end of the day, like, it's that or Susan Collins. And
I feel like Susan Collins doesn't have sexting scandals, but I do think that she will confirm a Supreme Court justice that Trump puts in.
Exactly.
And so I feel like ultimately, and I'm not voting in Maine, that
we know of,
but I might move to Widow's Bay. So
you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back on Friday. Vienna's in the chat saying vote early and often. I'm just going to say vote. I'm just going to say vote. Please don't vote often.
Yeah. Don't move here from Georgia and vote for Spencer Pratt.
Yeah, we'll never beat the allegations that in LA, like literally we just have anyone vote. Like
that's right. That's
dogs voting. Okay, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Bye. Thank you to our guest, Margaret Cho. Bye.
All the things. Bye, guys.